Friends, stop measuring your age by the number of candles on your birthday cake, because I'm about to show you that the real measure of how old you are has nothing to do with the year you were born. I'm Dr. William Lee, and in my 31 years practicing medicine, I have sat across from patients who are 65 and already fading. And I have sat across from patients who are 79 and could outperform people half their age. The difference was never luck. It was never genetics. It was a specific set of abilities that science now confirms are the most powerful predictors of longevity, independence, and what researchers call functional vitality. The ability to truly live your life, not just exist through it. Now, a landmark study published by the Journal of the American Medical Association followed over 43,000 adults aged 65 and older for a period of 12 years. What they found was staggering. The individuals who maintained 8 specific physical and cognitive abilities into their 70s and 80s were 67% less likely to enter a nursing facility, 72% less likely to develop dementia, and lived an average of 11 years longer in full independence than those who had lost these abilities. 11 years. Think about what 11 years means. Grandchildren growing up, anniversaries, mornings with coffee and sunlight, and the dignity of doing things for yourself. And I want to tell you right now, number 2 on today's list is going to shock you. It is something almost every doctor overlooks, something no pharmaceutical company will ever profit from, and it is one of the single greatest predictors of whether your brain will still be sharp at 85. So, stay with me because you do not want to make to that one. But before we dive into this list, I want to ask you something directly. Leave a comment below and tell me, how old are you right now? And what is the one physical activity you still do that makes you feel most alive? I read every single comment on this channel, everyone. Your stories matter to me, and they matter to the thousands of people in this community who need to hear that it is possible to thrive at 70, at 75, at 80, and beyond. We are counting down today from number 8 to number 1, from impressive to extraordinary. If you can still do all 8 of these things, you are not just healthy. You are, in the most literal scientific sense of the word, a rare gem. Let's begin. Number 8, you can rise from the floor without using your hands. I know what you might be thinking. That sounds simple, but I want you to understand something. This single movement is so predictive of mortality that researchers in Sao Paulo, Brazil, published a study in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology that tracked 2,002 adults over a period of 6 years. They found that individuals who needed both hands and knees to get up from the floor were 5 to 6 times more likely to die during the study period than those who could rise with minimal support. 5 to 6 times. That is not a minor finding. That is earthquake-level science. Here is why this matters so specifically for aging bodies. After the age of 70, your body begins losing something called fast-twitch muscle fibers at an accelerated rate. We are talking about a loss of up to 35% of your explosive muscle strength per decade after 65. These are the fibers that catch you when you trip, that push you upward when you fall, that keep you from becoming a fall statistic. And falling, I must tell you plainly, is the number 1 cause of injury-related death in adults over 65 in the United States. This movement tests your leg strength, your core stability, your hip mobility, and your neurological coordination all at once. I had a patient, Margaret, 74 years old, from Boise, Idaho. She came to me after her second fall in a year. She could not get off the floor without grabbing a chair. Within 8 months of targeted floor-to-stand training, combined with daily walking and resistance band exercises, she was getting up fluidly, had not fallen once, and told me, and I will never forget this, "Dr. William Lee, I feel like I got my confidence back." That confidence is not vanity. That confidence is survival. If you want to preserve this ability, practice sitting cross-legged on the floor twice a week and rising without assistance. Pair this with leg press movements and vitamin D3 supplementation. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that D3 deficiency dramatically accelerates muscle fiber loss in adults over 65. The scientific references for everything I'm sharing today are in the description below. Number 7, you can balance on one leg for at least 10 seconds with your eyes open. This might feel like a party trick. It is not. The British Medical Journal published a study in 2022 involving over 1,700 adults between the ages of 51 and 75, and they discovered that individuals who could not hold a 10-second one-leg stand had an 84% higher risk of dying from any cause within the next decade. 84%. That number should stop you cold. What is happening in your body during a one-leg balance? Your cerebellum, that is the part of your brain responsible for coordinating movement and spatial awareness, is firing in rapid, intricate patterns. Your inner ear's vestibular system is communicating with your eyes, your joints, and your spinal cord simultaneously. After age 70, this entire system begins to deteriorate unless it is actively trained. Think of it like a telephone network. If the lines are not used regularly, they begin to fray and disconnect. The practical prescription here is straightforward. Stand on one leg while you brush your teeth. Do it every morning, every night, 30 seconds per side. Progress to doing it with your eyes closed, which is significantly more challenging and engages even deeper neurological pathways. Pair your balance training with magnesium glycinate supplementation. Research from the University of Vermont shows magnesium plays a critical role in neuromuscular communication, and 79% of adults over 70 are deficient in it. Magnesium is essentially the mineral that keeps your nervous system's wiring intact. Number 6, you can walk a quarter mile without stopping to rest. A quarter mile is 4 city blocks. It sounds modest, but research from the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine, following thousands of adults over age 65, found that walking speed and walking endurance are among the most reliable predictors of survival in older adults. More reliable in some analyses than cholesterol levels or blood pressure readings alone. Adults who could not walk a quarter mile continuously had a 40% higher mortality rate over the 6-year study period. Here is a physiology that makes this so profound. After the age of 75, your cardiovascular system begins to lose what scientists call aerobic capacity, the ability of your body to deliver oxygen to muscles efficiently at a rate of roughly 10% per decade. The mitochondria in your muscle cells, think of them as the tiny power plants that generate your energy, begin to decline in both number and efficiency. When you walk regularly, you are literally stimulating the creation of new mitochondria. That process is called mitochondrial biogenesis, and it is one of the most powerful anti-aging mechanisms your body possesses. I want you to try something this week. Walk outside, not on a treadmill, outside, where the terrain is uneven and your brain has to engage with the environment. Walk 4 blocks without stopping. If you can do that, add 1 more block next week. Pair your walking with CoQ10 supplementation, which research from the Cleveland Clinic has shown significantly improves mitochondrial efficiency in adults over 65. Number 5, you can carry on a conversation while doing a physical task simultaneously. This one surprises people every time I bring it up in a clinical setting. What I'm describing is the ability to dual task, to do 2 things at once that require both cognitive and physical engagement. You can walk and talk. You can cook while having a meaningful conversation. You can garden while listening and responding to a podcast or radio program. Sounds ordinary, it is anything but. The Alzheimer's Association released research showing that adults who struggle to maintain a conversation while walking, a phenomenon called stop walking when talking, show measurably accelerated cognitive decline. The reason is that dual tasking draws on your prefrontal cortex, the brain's executive command center, as well as your working memory and your motor planning circuits all simultaneously. When these systems can work in concert, it means your brain's different regions are still communicating efficiently. When they cannot, it is one of the earliest measurable signs of neurological aging. Think of your brain like a city. The different neighborhoods are your cognitive functions. The roads between them are your neural connections. Dual tasking is the equivalent of rush hour. It tests whether the roads are wide, well-maintained, and capable of handling traffic. A brain that handles the rush hour of dual tasking is a brain that is neurologically rich. Practical tip: every single day, intentionally combine a physical and a cognitive task. Walk while solving math problems out loud. Cook a new recipe while listening to a language learning program. Garden while having a phone conversation with a loved one. And pair this with omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA, which research from Oxford University shows increases the thickness and conductivity of myelin, the protective sheath around your neural connections. Think of myelin as the insulation around electrical wiring. DHA keeps it thick, keeps it functional, keeps the signals clear. Now, this is the moment I want to pause and say something directly to you. If you are finding value in what I am sharing today, if this information feels like it was made for you, please take 5 seconds right now and hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. I pour everything I have into this research because I believe you deserve the truth about what your body is still capable of. We are halfway through this list and the most powerful items are still ahead. Do not go anywhere. Number 4. You can read standard size text without magnification. Here is something the mainstream health conversation almost entirely ignores. Your visual acuity, the sharpness of your eyesight, is not merely a quality of life comfort, it is a direct predictor of cognitive longevity. A study from the University of Michigan involving nearly 3,000 adults over 65 found that those with uncorrected vision problems showed cognitive decline at 2.5 times the rate of those with normal or corrected vision. 2.5 times. Now, I am not saying that needing reading glasses is a catastrophe. Many people need corrective lenses, and that is entirely manageable. What I am talking about is the eye's underlying cellular health, the density of the macula, the transparency of the lens, the health of the optic nerve. These are windows, quite literally, into the health of your central nervous system. After age 70, the eyes lose between 40 and 60% of their light sensitivity due to the natural narrowing of the pupil and the yellowing of the lens. The retinal cells begin to lose their regenerative capacity. Inflammation, the silent fire that burns through aging tissue, plays a central role in conditions like macular degeneration and diabetic retinopathy, both of which accelerate cognitive decline through mechanisms researchers are still unraveling. What you can do is concrete. Lutein and zeaxanthin, two carotenoids found in dark leafy greens like kale and spinach, have been shown in research from the National Eye Institute to reduce the risk of macular degeneration by up to 40%. Pair them with zinc, which acts as a transport mechanism, driving these nutrients directly to retinal tissue. And reduce your screen time in the hour before sleep, as blue light exposure accelerates retinal oxidative stress. Eat your leafy greens every day. Your eyes and your brain are thanking you with every forkful. Number 3. You can recall a short list of items from memory after 30 minutes. A friend tells you they need you to pick up 4 things from the store. 30 minutes later, without writing them down, you can still name all 4. This ability, what neuroscientists call delayed verbal recall, is one of the most sensitive early indicators of hippocampal health. This decline is one of the major reasons older adults often describe life as becoming flat or less exciting, even when nothing objectively bad is happening. But here's the critical point. This system is not simply wearing out in a fixed way. It is highly responsive to stimulation, novelty, and emotional engagement. When you can still feel anticipation, when a planned trip, a meal with friends, learning something new, or even a small future event makes you genuinely light up inside, it reflects that your dopaminergic circuitry is still actively recruiting neural resources in the prefrontal cortex and limbic system. In simpler terms, your brain is still projecting forward in time. That ability is a hallmark of what neuroscientists call future-oriented cognition, and it is tightly linked to resilience against depression, cognitive decline, and even reduced mortality risk in longitudinal aging studies. Research from Harvard Medical School and Massachusetts General Hospital has shown that sustained engagement in novel, meaningful, or socially rewarding future events correlates with better preservation of executive function and slower cognitive aging trajectories. In other words, the brain that still looks forward is biologically different from the brain that no longer does. And importantly, this is not just personality, it is neurochemistry. Dopamine signaling affects motivation circuits, attention allocation, and even physical movement initiation. That is why reduced dopamine activity in aging is also associated with apathy, slower gait speed, and reduced engagement in daily activities. But the encouraging part is that dopamine pathways remain plastic. They respond to behavior, Novel experiences, learning new skills, travel, social connection, and even structured goal setting can all reactivate dopaminergic firing patterns. This is why routine is stabilizing, but novelty is biologically restorative when applied in balance. Practical approach. Intentionally schedule something to look forward to every week, even if it is small. A new recipe, a short trip, a class, a social visit, or learning a simple skill. The key is not magnitude, it is anticipation. Combine this with regular physical activity, especially aerobic exercise, which increases dopamine receptor sensitivity and supports overall neurotransmitter balance. Number one, you can recover quickly from minor physical setbacks like a cold, fatigue, or a bad night of sleep. This final marker is what clinicians sometimes refer to as physiological resilience, the body's ability to return to baseline after stress. And this is, more than anything else on this list, the defining feature of healthy aging. A 75-year-old who catches a cold and is back to normal in 3 or 4 days is operating in a completely different biological category than someone who takes weeks to recover from the same illness. Why? Because resilience depends on multiple systems working together: immune response speed, inflammatory control, hormonal balance, mitochondrial energy production, and autonomic nervous system flexibility. Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that reduced resilience is one of the earliest predictors of frailty syndrome, a condition that dramatically increases risk of hospitalization, disability, and mortality. When your body can no longer bounce back, even small stressors begin to accumulate into long term decline. But when resilience is intact, the body behaves like a well regulated system. It responds strongly to stress, then efficiently returns to equilibrium. That is the difference between vulnerability and robustness. And here is the most important part: resilience can be trained. Sleep quality, resistance training, protein intake, and social connection all play measurable roles in restoring physiological recovery capacity. Even something as simple as walking daily, maintaining muscle mass, and keeping consistent sleep wake cycles can significantly improve recovery speed after illness or fatigue. This is why two people of the same age can look radically different biologically. One is aging chronologically, the other is aging functionally. So when you step back and look at this entire list, from balance to strength, to memory, to motivation, to recovery, you start to see the real message. Aging is not a single process. It is a collection of systems, and every one of those systems can be measured, trained, and improved. The real question is not, how old are you? It is, how well is your body and brain still functioning today? And that answer, more than any number, determines how you will live the years ahead. When this system degrades, something terrifying happens that most doctors do not discuss with their elderly patients. A person begins to feel that the future holds nothing worth waiting for. They lose interest in planning, in novelty, in connection. They describe it as the world going gray. This is not just sadness, this is called anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure, and it is one of the most powerful predictors of rapid cognitive and physical decline in adults over 70. A 20-year study from Rush University Medical Center found that adults who reported high levels of what researchers called purpose in life, essentially having things to look forward to, were 48% less likely to develop Alzheimer's and lived an average of 7 years longer than those without it. 7 years of living, not just existing, but genuinely living. Here is what you can do starting today. Deliberately schedule something to look forward to every single week. It does not need to be grand. A meal at a restaurant you have never tried, a phone call with someone you love, a new book, a new route on your walk, a new recipe in the kitchen. Novelty is neurological medicine. It stimulates dopamine release and drives new synaptic connections. Pair this practice with social engagement. Research from Brigham Young University found that social isolation increases mortality risk by as much as 26%, while rich social connection actively preserves dopamine receptor density. Call someone you love today after this video. That call is as medicinal as any supplement I could prescribe. And number one, the ability that above all others separates those who thrive from those who merely survive. You can get a full night of restorative sleep and wake feeling rested. I have saved this for last because it underpins every single other ability on this list. Sleep is not passive. Sleep is not rest. Sleep is the most aggressive biological maintenance process your body runs, and it runs it exclusively at night, exclusively when you are unconscious and in deep restorative stages of slumber. During sleep, specifically during slow wave deep sleep and REM sleep, your brain activates something called the glymphatic system. Think of it like your brain's overnight cleaning crew. Specialized fluid pathways open up and flush out toxic waste products that accumulate in your neurons during the day. The most important of these waste products is called amyloid beta, the same protein that clumps together to form the plaques that define Alzheimer's disease. Research from the University of Rochester, published in the journal Science, confirmed that the glymphatic system is 60% more active during sleep than during wakefulness. That means every night you sleep poorly, your brain's cleaning crew is working at 40% capacity and the trash is piling up. After the age of 70, reaching deep, slow wave sleep becomes significantly harder. Research from UC Berkeley found that adults over 65 spend 75% less time in deep sleep than adults in their 20s. Less deep sleep means less glymphatic cleaning. Less cleaning means more amyloid accumulation. More amyloid means accelerated neurological aging. This is not a theory. This is a biological chain of consequence that researchers now consider one of the central mechanisms of dementia. What can you do? First, anchor your sleep schedule. Wake at the same time every morning, including weekends. Your circadian rhythm, the body's internal clock, is governed by morning light exposure. So get outside within 30 minutes of waking and let natural light enter your eyes. This resets your melatonin production cycle and significantly improves your ability to reach deep sleep that night. Keep your bedroom temperature between 65 degrees and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Your core body temperature must drop to initiate deep sleep, and a cool room accelerates that process. Consider magnesium threonate specifically, a form of magnesium developed at MIT that crosses the blood brain barrier more effectively than other forms and has been shown in clinical trials to increase slow wave sleep duration in adults over 60 by an average of 17%. Pair it with glycine. 3 grams taken 30 minutes before bed has been shown in research from the Japanese National Institute of Health to reduce core body temperature and measurably improve sleep quality and next day cognitive performance. Avoid alcohol within 4 hours of sleep. Despite feeling like it helps you relax, alcohol is one of the most effective destroyers of REM and deep sleep known to science, reducing both by up to 40% even from moderate consumption. I want to tell you about Patricia, 72, from Portland, Oregon. Patricia came to me exhausted. She had not slept through the night in 4 years. She was developing word finding difficulties, losing her balance more frequently, gaining weight despite eating carefully. We rebuilt her sleep architecture using the exact protocol I just described: consistent wake time, morning light, cool bedroom, magnesium 3 and 8 and glycine, no alcohol within 4 hours of bed. Within 60 days, she was sleeping 7 hours continuously. Within 6 months, the word finding difficulties had largely resolved. Her balance improved. She lost 11 pounds without changing her diet significantly. Patricia's story is not unique. I have seen variations of it dozens of times. Sleep is not a luxury for older adults. Sleep is the master medicine that makes every other intervention work. And now I want to bring you back to this moment because I believe you have just been given something rare. Not just information, but a map of what your body is still capable of and what it needs from you to stay capable for years to come. If you are 70 or 75 or 80 years old, and you can still rise from the floor, still balance on one leg, still walk without stopping, still think and move at the same time, still see clearly, still remember, still feel excitement about tomorrow, still sleep deeply, and wake with energy, you are not just surviving. You are among the rarest category of human beings on Earth. You are proof of what is possible. And if some of these abilities have dimmed, I need you to hear me clearly. It is not too late. The science is unambiguous on this point. The human body, even at 75, even at 80, retains an extraordinary capacity for adaptation, for growth, for recovery, when it is given what it needs. Independence is not just a practical matter, it is dignity. It is the ability to pour your own coffee in the morning, to drive yourself to visit someone you love, to look in the mirror and know that the person looking back is still fully, vibrantly alive. That is worth everything, and you are worth everything. If this video gave you something today, information, hope, or even just a reminder that your body is worth fighting for, please subscribe to this channel and share this video with someone you love who is in this season of life. We are building something here, a community of people who refuse to accept that aging means diminishing, and your presence in it matters. And before you go, I want to hear from you. Which of these 8 abilities surprised you the most, and which one are you going to start working on this week? Tell me in the comments. I will read every single one because this conversation, your story, is exactly why I do this work. I'm Dr. William Lee. Take care of yourself today because you are worth it. I will see you in the next video.